Hi folks, and welcome back to Travels with Paddles. My name's James, and today we are paddling from Littlehampton up the River Arun. Here's a map of the route, and total distance was 20.5 miles. We're launching here from the large slipway in Littlehampton next to the lifeboat station. Car parking is available just the other side of the station in Surrey Street car park. It is pay and display though. I need to get this straight out. I really like this paddle. It's got a great mixture of town scenery and rural scenery, and you get to go past Arundel Castle too. You can also really play around with the length of the trip by carefully selecting when you launch before high water at Littlehampton. The basic plan for the trip is to launch before high water at Littlehampton and ride the tidal bulge up the river, then stop for lunch as it changes, and then ride the river back down again, this time with the falling tide. Here we're launching about 2 hours before high water, but if you wanted a shorter paddle, you could easily reduce that to an hour and a half or even an hour. You can also choose whether to do the paddle with springs or neap tides. If you choose the larger spring tides, you'll get a much bigger speed boost and you'll travel further up the river. If you use neaps, it'll be a lot more relaxed and the flow will be slower. Just a word of caution if you do choose to use spring tides. There are bollards, moored boats, posts, all sorts of things in the river, and with the faster flow of the spring tide you're going to have to be a little bit careful to make sure you don't get pinned on one of them. So back to the paddle, and here we are pulling into Arundel. Not sure if you can see it very well, but on this fence there's a plastic skeleton which we've called Skelly. Skelly's been here for at least several years, and seems to have a different pose every time we pass. In the distance, up on the hill, you can see Arundel Cathedral. And here we're passing along the Arundel waterfront towards Queen Street Bridge. Here are some examples of obstacles that you need to avoid in high flow rates. The river is also used by a local sailing club, and it can get pretty busy on the water. Sailing craft do have priority over others, so it's best to give them some room or at least let them know what your intentions are. Here's our first sneak peek of Arundel Castle, with better to come. You can see the scenery has changed completely now to a rural setting. We didn't stop here this time round, but the Black Rabbit pub could be a great location for lunch if you were aiming for a shorter paddle. It's difficult to see on the video, but the upstream flow of the river is definitely easing off now. It's time to start looking for somewhere to stop for lunch. That can be easier said than done though, as the banks are not too obvious for get-outs. But in the end, we find a spot. Now it's worth noting that if you're finishing off lunch and you're looking at the river thinking, it's still flowing upstream, that can happen. On previous paddles where we've picked a big spring tide, the river continues flowing upstream for quite some time after high water Littlehampton. 10 miles upriver, the upstream flow can keep going for 1 or even 2 hours longer. However, you should find that the flow rate isn't particularly significant and it's easy to paddle against. If this happens, you'll start paddling against the upwards flow, and then suddenly you'll realise that there's no flow, and then it's really starting to accelerate downriver now. Just another word of caution here. From our experience, the flow downriver tends to be stronger than the flow upriver, so just be a little careful. So as promised, here are the really nice views of Arundel Castle. And just like that, we're back into Arundel town itself. You can really see the strong downstream flow now by the tilt on the buoy. Plus, look at how much water is missing now. Do keep well clear of the bumpers, the posts and the guides under this bridge. And if you're lucky, you may see Gavin the Littlehampton seal. We've seen him before, but unfortunately not this time. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the paddle. Please do like and subscribe, and until next time, stay safe on the water.